A very good Sunday afternoon, my people. We have some excitement outside. We are out of power again. We're using our backup generator. And apparently that high wind broke a telephone pole and they are replacing that. If you see some guys up on that telephone pole, you know they're working. Let's start with our part one. But this is a strange March, which we will later on talk a little bit of spring health, liver health, and if weather has very interesting pattern, what do we do to kind of set up a shield for ourselves? So let's start with our part one and breathing exercise. We'll breathe in as deep as we can from our nose, and also now our meridian lines are open, our little acupressure points are all open, so we'll make sure we intentionally, when we breathe, we open up everything, and then when we breathe out, we get all the toxins out. We'll do 10 times together.
Yeah, he said his arm.
Now, we're going to do our part two, our 10 energy movements. 10 energy movements is one of the best exercise or movements, energy movements, to balance one's fascia system. And that is going to be the key for health, given the circumstances, right? So which I will explain that a little bit more in details. We'll do 5 times. make sure when you do this movement, you feel your spine, right? Or making helping your spine to breathe. Now remember this movement, that golden triangle, your head, tail, your spine. Exercising your spine, connecting your lower jaw, lower burner to your middle and your upper and pericardium. So exercising your tendon, this movement. And stretch out. The whole tendon system. Now the liver punch. One of the best movements to really shake open of your stagnation. Very important to do this movement because a lot of people after COVID experience COVID blood that cause a lot of stress to the kidney system. This movement will help to promote the kidney. Now the next two, we bring the first 8 together by really stretching out the whole fascia system. That's why called longevity movement. Now, let's don't forget our water. So this is Meyer lemon. I put 2 pieces in my water for how to balance the gut system and how to detox. I always use warm water. I boil my water. I put Meyer lemon, wait until it's still warm. So I drink it very slowly. One thing about drinking water, always make sure we don't really do the gushing in drinking. Right? We sip our water. Remember in monastery, it's a Taoist concept. Taoist is focused on longevity and well-being, and they says you gotta eat your water, drink your food. Why do they say that? You eat your water because you drink it so slowly as if you are chewing on your water. See, and you drink your food, right? You eat your water, you drink your food. That means do that so many times that becomes a liquid. The liquid is not because when you eat and you drink, we do not promote that. We just focus on eating, right? We eat slowly. We chew so many times. When we chew, that we create saliva. So the more saliva you create, then you know the better Jin is body fluid, right? That is something, again, we promote healthy body fluid. So, spring health. Today we'll talk a little bit about spring health. So every season, right, our body has a manager. That means that organ systems acting as a middle management and help to regulate the yin and yang, the 2 types of energies, help to regulate everything. So then our body can have a healthy, smooth flow. So springtime, we all know by now, our liver system is our manager. So then what should we do? That, well, a lot of things we can do to help to promote liver health. But let's talk about what is more relevant, right? This spring, this March, we see a lot of dampness. So the weather is very irregular, a lot of dampness in the air. So what will that do to our health? So one thing is we already know that dampness, you often hear me saying dampness in your spleen system, right? That already one of the main factor, dampness will create stagnation in your intestines, right? In your gut system. So, you know, the weather is too damp. So what can we do to really set up a shield for ourselves? So 3 basic things that we should always try to do. One is make sure when you work, when you do anything, you intentionally blink your eyes more often, right? If you look at the screen, what you do is you close your eyes really tight and open it, close it and open it. And you just do that. And intentionally every 5 and 10 minutes, because what are you doing? You're saying, I'm relaxing my liver, literally that liver. I'm cleansing my blood, right? I'm detoxing my liver. I'm promoting the blood health. So especially if people work a lot with Zooms and computers or anything, that you just give yourself a minute, right? Really look outside. Hopefully you can see some trees. The trees on your computers won't count. And then just really close your eyes and open, and close your eyes and open. So that's one thing that throughout the day you should do. And second, that we have a movement that you can just pick it up and just take it out and do that more often. The movement, the first movement is this one. We can do more often because we are, you know, and then the other hand, right? This movement, because this is we're strengthening the whole gut system. And the other thing is that we are opening the Chongmai. Chongmai is one of the extraordinary lines, meridian lines in human body that's directly connected from the brain through the breast line down to either your testicles or your ovaries. So by opening this up, you really are sending the energy through Sanjiao, the triple burner. So this is one of the shortcuts in the spring. And then the other thing that you know what you should do is always 8 hours sleep, right? But when you wake up, don't just get up immediately, right? You see what you see your cats and dogs do. You often see you have a lot of other animals like we do. You see them always do the same thing. They stretch themselves in the morning and throughout the day. They just, you know, just like, oh, I just in the morning, in bed, or when you get up, you just stretch yourself. And your hands and your legs and your butt, you shake it, and then you just do these movements. And you do this 3, you are intentionally building up a shield for the liver. So that is, especially when outside weather pattern is so irregular, these are the little tricks we want you to do. Right? We want you to really just kind of close and open your eyes. We want you to really straighten. Really, you have to mean it. When you do it, you have to mean it, right? When you can do it in bed, you can do it at your office, you can do it before you get up, when you go to bed. And then the other thing is, one of the best way is to relax in bed, right? Give them 8 hours. And if you cannot sleep 8 hours, at least 7 hours. Do these 3 basic things, you are nourishing your liver. And so this is one thing, just a little bit of liver health. And then the other thing is our strategy. Our liver system, one of the greatest function of the liver system, and that is actually is the one who we call that general, right? Why? What does general do? What general is lead the army. Who is your army? What is your army? Your army is your immune system, right? You lead the army is that your general is not going just to be in the field and fighting for you. That's not the role of the general. The general is really the one who set up strategies. So spring is a good time to really sit down to set up the strategies for your health. What is it is your strategy? What do you want to do to balance which organ system? Even though the liver system is the manager, right? But you can do the promoter of the liver, that's in your kidneys, or you can. And the other thing we should all do is to continue to balance our lungs, because that, you know, one organ system to work properly, you have to have a promoter, you have to have a controller. Right? You don't promote that, you don't control that. And knowing in springtime, some people may feel more anxious. Because if people have liver energy stagnation, they will end up feeling more anxious, right? Because that if you feel anxious, if you feel depression, know that the control system has problems. If you feel anxiety, then you know the promoting system has problems, has imbalance. So knowing your body a little bit, knowing that not just when to promote the liver system health, but we also need to look ahead to say, well, how do we balance liver system? Right? We balance it by control the liver, by really promote the liver health. Let's say, for instance, a lot of people lately, the past 18 months now, we've seen a lot of people with what I call COVID blood. COVID blood symptom, that is that people after, you know, a variety of things, vaccines and boosters and COVID, or one or another or both, that they have created those kind of little granule type of things in their blood that lead to a lot of inflammation, that also give kidney system extra stress. When the kidney system, because the part of the kidney function is the fine filter, right? When that filter through, it's hard time to filter through because your blood is too bluey, then that creates additional stress. So then when people come in, they always have high level of anxiety and fatigue, high level of inflammation. So then what we do to help people to balance liver stagnation and COVID blood syndrome is that is something that we give you herbs and we give you treatment, but what you can do at home and yourself really is do the 3 things that I want you to do, and just knowing this is something that this is something, it's real. This is something that I don't even know what to tell you. So this is just something that we just have to really kind of work through this, right? the COVID blood symptom that what we want you to do is stretch out, do a lot of stretching and energy movement, that 10 energy movement, because COVID blood, that means that cause inflammation in your fascias. So what is fascias? Fascias is the rings, the tendons of the whole body, all the connective tissues and beyond and above that, and all the energy flow, all the blood flow, all the best bit of your energy that flows through those channels. And that is your fascia system, and that has to be constantly, we have to constantly keep that clean. And how do we do that? So we have created a whole chapter for that, because if you think about, you have to first connect the triple burner, right? Think about the lower burner, that is the maneuver of the system, right? The lower dantian, the lower burner, the lower abdomen. This is your lower burner and the middle burner. And middle burner is your healthy soil. The upper burner, that is the plants and flowers. That's what your heart is from. So we have to connect this, and then we have to connect that with pericardium. We have to connect that with your spine. We have to connect that, the whole thing, with your upper lymph. We have to connect with golden triangle. We have to connect with lower lymph. We have to connect with spine and brain health. And then with that, we have to connect with the end blood vessels, blood with your hands and your feet. So that's the whole thing, is the fascia. It's when we say how to clean fascia in the spring, and the spring is the best time to clean up the fascia system. So, and again, what can you do? Well, if you don't know how to clean the triple burners and pericardium and all that, and you have a pair of walnuts, right? I want you to exercise your hands, because we help you to connect all these things, and you constantly from any illness you have is from out in, right? You drive on out from in out. So the self-care always is from the lower, right? Your hands, your feet, and then the top, your head, and to exercise that. That is one of the best things you can do to promote the meridian line flow, to promote the fascia flow. So you have a pair of walnuts, right? Make sure you do your exercise, right? And you make sure you do your herbal soak. You exercise your feet as well. Because think about, if you are a tree, we say, if you get old, you get old from your feet and your legs. That's why we want you to keep walking, right? Keep doing the foot massage and keep doing the foot soak. So all these things that will promote fascia health, right? And then, but today, one more thing I want to show you is that lately I've seen a lot of patients wear silver, which is very good. You see our silver. So this is monastery silver, healing silver. And we have a purpose for that. And this is the best way to detox, right? And then we also, this is a gua sha tooth, right? We often use a little herb, put on the top of your head, and we use this tool. If you have walnuts, use walnuts. But if you have silver, silver is one of the best tools to detox, right? I'm not sure why people drink silver, but I think that comes with the idea of detoxing, right? Spring, again, is a good time to detox. And you just massage the whole head, put a little herb, massage the head, then get the toxins out. Massage your hands with silver. Since I see many of you wear silver, so that's why I says, I hope that when we wear silver, and there's a reason for it, right? It's not just looks good, but it has a purpose, using that as a tool to detox. Okay. So, and then the other thing, what I actually want you to do is to, if it's too much, Sarah, you just let me know. Otherwise, I will teach people one more thing, is to, in the springtime, it's best to clean up the membranes, to do a little bit of gua sha, right? You find the middle, the nose line, right? And you just gua sha here a little bit. That will help to promote the health of the connection between the lungs and your brain, right? And also your nostrils. So do these little tricks and ask me questions. I can teach more. I can show you the nose health and why it's important. We can do a lot of things. So Sarah, tell me what to do.
Dr. Liu, I actually really would welcome a little bit more insight into the nose health and the breathing. I know just from seeing a few clients this week, they're already starting to have some sinus and allergy-like concerns. So I think given where we are in the season, that would be really helpful.
Okay. So the reason a lot of people have sinuses problems is that partially was this COVID really, I mean, that just get attached to the sinuses membranes. And then the other thing is that I think this is the first battlefield. When you have the viruses and you have here is really the first battlefield. So, and then the other thing is that talking about nose health, talking about this region, you see the nose is a part of, we call that the nose, the membranes, and the sinuses. It's a part of the lung health. The lung health, lung is the controller of your liver. So if your lungs is weakened, then the controller is weakened. Then in the spring, you will have more of other problems, right? And inflammation-related problems because the liver helps to control inflammation. So, and then the other thing is quite interesting because you see there are three very important meridian lines going through your nose, right? And your stomach line going through your nose, right? Your large intestines line, and then your small intestines line, all going through your nose. So in springtime, if a lot of people have intestinal issues, then that also will lead to sinuses infection and inflammation. So just to give you an idea how our body is connected, right? If people says, well, you know, I have loose stool, my stool is so sticky. And then one thing they can do, right, is to massage these 2 points. Why? Because these 2 points not only will clean up your sinuses, but also will help to regulate your intestines. So there are 3 steps I want you to do to promote the sinuses health and clean up your membranes. And one is that you can get a little herb from our clinic, right? Can you show people this little herb? Okay. So, and then you just kind of open it, which I know we're not opening that, and put a little bit of the, just right here, yin tang. Yin tang is, you know, you find a nose line, the middle, and it just goes up right here in the middle of your eye, right here. And then you use either a gua sha tool or use your walnuts. If you have those silver, use silver to gua sha it. You do 10, 15, 20 times from down up, right? You can then go up until here, see? So this is step 1. And step 2 is you find these 2 points right here, one finger below your eye in the middle, right here, these 2 points. You don't have to know what is that for. You just find these 2 points, and then you either use your finger to massage like this or use silver. Because you are cleaning up 3 meridian lines. You are cleaning up your large intestines, your small intestines, and balancing your stomach at the same time help to move the membrane. And then the 3rd point is right next to your nostrils, right here, this point, right here. When you press, you should feel, oh wow, it feels kind of tender. Then again, you can use your tools to do that, to detox. If you feel you have inflammation, right? If you feel you have inflammation, the best way to use silver. If you feel you have stagnation, then the best way is to use walnuts, right? And just to clean it. The sign of inflammation is pain, okay? The sign of stagnation is you feel congested. So, point 1, point 2, and point 3. Use a little herb and use your tools, okay? If you don't have that, use your finger. That will do the trick, okay? But ideally, if you have those tools, use tools. They're stronger. And then after that, you should feel, oh, you have a little sha. That's inflammation coming out of you, and that is healthy, okay? Don't freak out, that's healthy. And then you feel, you can breathe better, you feel lighter. So then you know you're doing it right.
I guess I will just add that for those listeners who maybe are not familiar, sha is the slight discoloration that we're seeing on Dr. Liu's face right now. Very slight forehead and
That's a very
cheeks.
healthy sha.
That's a very healthy sha. Actually, the aim is to try to promote that to come to the surface. I mean, like, we should repeat it enough that you have some release in that way.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, because sha is inflammation, right? Sha is you help your system to regenerate, right? You bring the inflammation out, you are taking out the little dead blood vessels, then you promote regeneration of the cells. So sha is very healthy, okay? It's a very healthy thing to do. What we call that gua sha, you get the sha out.
Thank you, Dr. Liu. I know that you have been talking a lot about COVID blood in the clinic, and I know we're all learning as this unfolds, but I had this thought last week, and I know that there's been a lot of COVID has certainly left a trail of inflammation, and I know for some it's been really challenging, but I had this thought that maybe it's also really an opportunity for us to learn how to heal in a different capacity and to heal on a deeper level. Would you say that that opportunity is there?
I think that any crisis, right? Again, that the word 危机 in Chinese language, that combined with 2 words, opportunity, danger, and opportunity. It really depends on which part you're looking at, right? If some people are just very fearful without strategies, they only see danger, then they are just becoming more withdrawal and have fear. But if you see it as an opportunity to say, hey, look, now it's the time is now to really balance our health, because we know we cannot possibly rely on just the external help, meaning the vaccines or the medicines or anything, but rather how do we promote our own immune system? How do we promote how do we reduce stagnation? How do we reduce inflammation? How do we balance the gut health, right? So to see that as a learning opportunity to really sit down and say, let's have a strategy about health. Well, maybe about life is also not a bad idea, but anyways, so just to do something about it. So I agree with you. COVID blood is not the end of anything. It's not something that, people should be scared of, but something people should not overlook. Should not just say, I have this, so what? Or other people have this, so what? So there are millions of people can work because of this long haul COVID. And one of the major factors for long haul COVID is COVID. So, but happily reporting that our regular patients, our people, we don't have severe COVID. So we're doing the preventative care for people. Isn't that wonderful? Why? Because we keep doing things to reduce our stagnation and reduce our inflammation. We did not wait until, oh, now what? We do it step by step. Again, that investment you invest in your health is paying off.
Dr. Liu, I love the idea that you described earlier of like connecting the burners, connecting back to the spine, and really sort of creating this circuit of energy around the body and this movement. Sometimes we have patients who come in and they've had, accidents, or they've had surgery, they've had certain, organs moved. And so it's really reassuring to hear you say that there are ways to still support the body as a whole in a way that is beyond all the different parts that we might have conventionally thought about.
We are a bulk of electricity, like I always says, where we have ions of it. We have more than 10 trillion cells in us, right? If we see it as opportunity, we have more than 10 billion opportunities. Isn't that great?
It's really endless. I love it.
Isn't that? It's endless. The indefinite opportunities and possibilities. That's the word of Ba, right? That's the symbol of Ba. If you see my backyard, you will see that symbol. People only know Ba is being promoted and loved in Asia, and a lot of people say, "Oh, if you use the word Ba, you will have wealth." I don't know where that idea come from, but that's what it originally means. You will have endless possibilities and opportunities. Then I guess some of them might be linked to, wealth. But that wasn't the only thing though.
That's really beautiful. Thank you. I love that all of the tools you have are also just elements from nature. This is actually the first time I see you use silver. I mean, I know you have in your tea cups that you use, there's silver.
We use it for centuries, right? The white tea and green tea. In the middle of teacup, there is this silver lotus that I have in my teacup. And during COVID, a lot of people start drinking silver. I don't know where that idea come from. But in Asia, in monastery training, in Taoist training, part of longevity training is that we do use silver, but we use silver that let the element leak into the tea, and then you drink warm tea. That would make more sense, wouldn't you? Instead of drinking that silver.
Dr. Liu, I would love to take this opportunity for you to let our listeners know that the acupuncture we use in clinic is really just an extension of that philosophy. Yeah. I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'll give you the floor for that.
So we still use our old way, right? Our old way is silver. So that's why our needles are different. It feels different. Some of our old patients, regular patients, they can feel it. Sometimes it will run because we use 1.5 million needles per year, right? Sometimes when we run out of it, we use stainless steel, and people will say, wait a minute, this is not the same acupuncture. What are you using? So I said, see, people do know, because silver is really extension of the energy, right? That is so important, and that's why in our clinic we only do free needling. We use our hands, we touch the element, right? And then that energy through us, through the needles, get into you. So that's a continued flow, which is very important. You don't just tap the needles in, you don't. That if you've done it well, you can feel, call that deity, is that the energy is there. It's like you feel the energy field when you put a needle in.
The energy of that element coming through to the treatment is really powerful, very intentional. And also, I mean, I have to tell you, just as a practitioner, the wisdom in that is, that's really, I don't have a word for it, but that's, I'm kind of marveling, I should say, at the wisdom of that. Wonderful. Dr. Liu, we have just a few minutes left. Are there any things about the spring season that might bring about certain, I don't know, certain things to the surface for people that they can maybe just be aware of and not to be concerned with?
So I really do think that in modern society, I don't know what lead to people are scared, and people are trying to scare people, and people are always scared. So if you feel fear, then your body creates certain hormones, right? In springtime, if your body, your liver system cannot be liver system, like this is liver system like to be promoted, right? And cannot be, you can't just compress your liver. You can't, liver should not be, liver system should not be, you know, like if you are hitting something with fear, then your liver will feel very toxic, right? In springtime, that will show you more than any other season. So if then people will feel they are more anxious, and that is part of this kind of weather that can bring, because then that's very depressing for the liver system, and liver system will naturally put up a fight. And then if the liver system, especially in springtime, put up a fight, then you will feel you are more kind of anxious, you are more sometimes have heart palpitations, a lot of depression. So these are all liver-related symptoms. And if you feel that, you know, partially it could be due to weather and partially it could be emotions, and then sometimes that if you not regulate, right? Remember, if the controller of your body or the liver is weak, then people have non-controlled anger and mood swing. Children, especially kids, they may act up a little bit or not. So these are the symptoms that in the spring we should look at. So the way to really help to balance it is really, I will encourage people to laugh more, to sing more, and to get the energy outward more, right? Because spring is the energy from yin to yang, from in, out. So just to do the activities that bring the energy out, bring the joy out, bring the joy out.
Which is really actually exactly what's happening around us in the garden, in nature, right?
Yes.
Everything is sort of waking and sprouting and budding and
Yes, yes. So, everything is awakening, right? And use this opportunity to have spiritual awakening as well. Isn't that's why, in a lot of religions that this is the season that people fast and this is the season of prayers, and this is in a lot of monasteries and monks are out and in the garden and pray and chant. It is just to let that out, to let it grow. So this is a season of change, a season of really intentionally have a strategy for health, a season of connectedness, right? Because you connect yourself with nature, with soil, and with energy, and use this opportunity to do that. Then your feet will subside, the hope will rise. So spring, again, that we call in monastery, in traditional Chinese medicine, we say the spring is a season of hope. So I want you all to focus on that. Laugh more and love more and hope more. And then knowing that we have you covered, because the whole chapter I created for you with all those parts, that took me more than 6 months to do. I'm going to try that on you all.
thank you so much, Dr. Liu. Dr. Liu, we have a compliment for you on your garden. So I don't want to end the call without sending that your way, because I know you will appreciate that.
It is a beautiful garden. And then we're going to do some garden work and then also do some regenerative garden class this year. Just stay tuned, people.
Stay tuned. Thank you again, Dr. Liu.
You are really welcome. Let's look at our little, see, she's sharing that space. Well, I'm sharing the space with her, and she's very content. The beautiful soul, our Lila.